Welcome to the voice of St. Anthony Parish from Allston, Massachusetts, right here on WROL, 950 AM, 100.3 FM. You can also hear us at CatholicAudiomedia.com. That's CatholicAudiomedia.com. And I'm talking this week about different aspects of building our relationship with Christ. If we look at what Lent is all about, Lent is basically about restoring or deepening our relationship with Christ, and Easter is about doing that from a different perspective, more from celebrating our relationship with Christ. So let me give you a good example. In Lent, think of it as if you have some kind of a jewelry, and you realize that it needs to be shined up. That's what Lent's all about. Lent is all about shining up your jewelry, I guess is a way to put it. I don't wear jewelry, so I guess I'm doing the best I can. But shining up your jewelry that's become tarnished. And then, so Easter is about, now that you've taken away the tarnish, you build up the shine even more so by celebrating what it is that this piece of jewelry is. So, I'm not a jeweler, so I may get this completely wrong in metallurgy, but we'll do what we can. If you have a piece of gold, I was actually shocked. I didn't know gold could tarnish, but I found out it can. Would you ever be a piece of gold that has tarnished, and it needs to be shined up? Well, Lent is removing the tarnish, and then Easter is making it more brilliant, maybe wearing it as the sign of your celebration of what you're celebrating, that this piece of gold jewelry is all about. So that's the two seasons there. So now getting back to our relationship with Christ, Lent is about deepening and restoring, is a way to put it, or maybe not so much restoring because that implies a break, but deepening and fixing and making better our relationship with Christ, whereas Easter is then building on that and deepening it to a deeper level. And that's an important aspect. So in both seasons, as in all seasons, spiritual reading is important. Now, one of the best things I was talking about yesterday that is great for spiritual reading is an e-reader. Because with an e-reader, which is an electronic reader, I mean, there's Kindle, there's Barnes & Noble has one, what's called the Nook, there's all different kinds, but you can store your reading on that, magazines, newspapers, and books. So I do a lot of reading anyway, probably not as much as I really wish I did, but I do a lot of reading. So when I'm in my time of praying and I do my holy hour, well, I've got my e-reader with me so that I can very easily just go through some reading that I haven't done yet, or go through some reading that I'd like to do. Now, maybe an example would be, you may or may not know, I may have mentioned this to you before, but I listen to Hugh Hewitt every single weekday morning. So I always listen to him, and he has, on certain days of the year that are special holidays, he has certain interviews he does, different themes and everything else. And I think, was it on Christmas? Every year he runs the same show, and it was an interview with a theologian by the name of N.T. Wright, How God Became King. So I was fascinated by what he had to say, and so I picked up the book, and I just finished reading the book. It's a little bit, how's the best put it? It's very academic, so I found that to be, just kind of a little different than what I'm used to reading. And not that I don't read anything academic, but it was a little bit more academic than I expected. But it was a great book. And I enjoyed it, and talking about understanding. Now, N.T. Wright, by the way, is not Catholic, so that adds to it. And I'll talk about that in a second. And talking about the different understandings of what we believe in light of the Gospels, and how we understand the Gospels and what the Gospels are trying to tell us and all that. Now, I said to you, he's not Catholic. You might say, what? You would read someone who is not Catholic? Interesting story. Bishop Fulton Sheen, Archbishop Fulton Sheen, was giving a retreat for priests. And he gave, now this is back in the 70s, and he gave a recommendation for a biblical commentary series, and it was the Barclay series, which I've used in the past. I haven't used it recently, but I've used it in the past. The Barclay series. Barclay was a Presbyterian. And he said that. He says, don't start with this, no, you're only going to read the Catholics. He said, no, I mean, this is a great series. It's very good. So don't get into this. I don't have the exact words, but basically this, it's not Catholic, therefore I'm not going to read this. No, you want good literature, and you don't want anything that's going to lead you down the wrong path. But there's plenty of literature out there that's basically literature that helps you to deepen your faith. I'm going to give you an example of that on the other side of the break. You're listening to the voice of St. Anthony Parish from Allston, Massachusetts, right here on WROL. You can now leave a message for us, which we can air and discuss on this program. Just call 617-297-7452. That's 617-297-7452. 617-297-7452. Feel free to call, leave a comment, a question, or even feedback, and we may play it on the air. I can discuss your comment or question as well, so give that a try. 617-297-7452, 617-297-7452. And don't forget our website, CatholicAudiomedia.com. That's CatholicAudiomedia.com. Check out our website. Check out the archives of the show, which actually is the show for the past couple of weeks. But you can also connect to our Podbean website there, where you can listen to all the programs. And also, we also have there our Catholic Audio Media interviews, which are the interviews that we've done on the program that we break up into, you can hear them on Monday, or rather Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. Well, on that channel, you can hear them connected. You can hear the whole thing all as one. So that's over there as well. And you can connect to the parish. You can also go directly to the parish website at stanthonyalston.org. That should be easy to remember. The only thing you have to remember is ST stands for Saint, as opposed to SAINT, which also stands for Saint. But you remember, we're St. Anthony Alston, ALLSTON.org, because we are not a .com. How's that? So stanthonyalston.org. Check that out. And see all those things over there. Well, so anyway, we're talking about good spiritual reading. Now, I was talking to someone you've heard on this radio station, and his name is Pastor Basil, and Pastor Basil Yard. And he was talking to me about a book called On Being a Pastor from Derek J. Prime and Alistair Begg. And that's actually not a Catholic book. And I said, well, that looks interesting. And sure enough, I bought that book and I'm reading it, and I'm going to recommend it, or tell him that it was a good recommendation. And you might say, again, but that's not a Catholic book. When you're dealing with issues of pastors and ministry, many of the issues are all the same. Even though you're dealing with different forms of theology, the pastoral issues are all the same, because you're dealing with people who all have basically the same issues, the same problems, and everything else. So the pastoral issues are all the same. There used to be an outstanding magazine. Unfortunately, it's no longer around. I guess it's around as a newsletter, but not as a magazine, and it was called Leadership Journal, and it was put out by Christianity Today. Again, not another Catholic publication. It's not a Catholic publication, but it was dealing with the issues that everyone had with ministry, and it is excellent. It was absolutely excellent. I look forward to getting that every single year. And I will say, I have never found a magazine of the same style in the Catholic world. So sometimes you have to reach outside of the Catholic world to find some good material, or find some other forms of good material. And, you can look around, you can see some recommendations and everything. It's especially, we may disagree on theology, but we agree on other aspects of what it means to live our faith. So we disagree. Like, I'll give you a good example. The Mormon missionaries are in the area, and they have to pay for their missionary experience. So I remember a great Catholic guy. He invited the Mormon missionaries out to dinner. And there were a bunch of us that went. I was there. He's from my parish, and we went. And he says, you are doing such a powerful thing for your faith. Would that we did the same for our own? And so he made sure they had dinner, and, if there's anything you need, let me know, and everything else. Even though our theology is not the same, and, we can say that right straight out, but our faith, our experience of living the faith, sometimes some of those issues are very, very similar. For example, I listen to Dennis Prager. A lot of people don't like his politics. That's them. I'm talking from a different perspective. But Dennis Prager is Jewish. But he talks about a lot of issues within the synagogues that are no different than you would find in the churches, because it's all about a lived experience. Theology is different, but that's it. We'll talk tomorrow. I want to call your attention to Catholic TV, which offers great faith-filled, family-friendly programming 24 hours a day. You can find your cable channel at www.getcatholictv.com, and you can watch online on the free apps or check out the YouTube channel. Daily Mass, Rosaries, the Divine Mercy Chaplet, and the Our Lady of Perpetual Help Novena are all available online and on demand. Check out CatholicTV.com. If you would like to support our program, please consider a donation to St. Anthony Parish in Allston, Massachusetts. There are several ways to consider this. One is to purchase any of our merchandise, which you can find at the shopping tab at CatholicAudiomedia.com. That's CatholicAudiomedia.com. There are coffee mugs there. There's also my latest book, Encounter Christ in Your Humanity, all of which you can find at the shopping tab at CatholicAudiomedia.com. You can also donate to the show directly through either the Donate tab, also at CatholicAudiomedia.com, or by sending a donation through the U.S. Postal Service with your questions and comments at 43 Holton Street, Allston, Massachusetts, 02134. That's St. Anthony Parish, 43 Holton Street, Allston, Massachusetts, 02134. Finally, the best way you can support our parish is to attend Mass on Sundays at 10 o'clock and be a part of our parish. We thank you for any support you would like to give to St. Anthony Parish in Allston, Massachusetts, the sponsoring parish for this media outreach to Catholics and other Christians in the WROL, WEZE, and podcast listening audience. In Cristo vivimos.